All right, folks, December 10, 2023. So, the astrological event is going it's going to start apparently tomorrow night and go through the 12th with the asteroid. Now, I've been getting a lot of comments about my pronunciation here. So, I've been doing some research to how this, excuse me, is pronounced. This is what this one says. Betelgeuse. According to that guy. Here is the Arabic or the Arabic version. Betelgeuse. That feels better because calling it beetle juice, I don't think so. I don't think so. Okay, so there was one other session here for this Betelgeuse Target that was pretty esoteric, so I didn't include it. I'm going to put it in this kind of final video that's kind of a little more on the esoteric side, even though the other stuff had a lot of esoteric stuff in it. But this session in particular, I'm still piecing together. And so I'm going to go through it, and then I'm going to go through some things that I researched and try to kind of get an understanding of this. Because this is where this session went. So there was this underground place, these stairs leading down like a cavern or something like that, secluded, solid place, underground, like a basement. The type of place where someone would go to look at something. That was the notion. Like I would go down here, somebody would go down here, in here, and there'd be something there to look at. But look at what, though, I wonder. Something that seems rather angelic in nature. And is it a statue? Is it a painting? Seemed rather interdimensional. Excuse me, I get something. Throat. As an idea. But how? I wonder. It could alter a person's state of being just by the idea of looking at it. Meaning that, people go down here and worship this thing, kind of. And then they would go into some kind of an altered state. But I had to wonder, is there real power here, or is it just people's reactions? I had to wonder. The notion of people wanting something so badly they would suspend belief. And there was a religious level of intensity, like a religious fervor or an intoxication. This drawing here was interesting, and I'll get to this here, which is this tree of life element here. Is it religious, though, I wonder? It could be, or could be made into something religious. That's a very interesting statement. Based on the star and the constellation, made into something religious. What does it take to do that, though? I wonder. The emotional reaction, deep psychological reaction, meaning what does it take to turn something into a religion or religious fervor? You would need an emotional reaction, a deep psychological reaction, and a deep cellular memory activation. But what does that even mean, though? Memory passed through generational impacts, stored in the cells and handed down. Memory written in at a cellular level. When something is seen that represents this recollection, there can be a deep psychological reaction. Is this a good thing, though, I wonder? It could be good to clear out past trauma and or recognize a personal flaw to be addressed and worked through. Does it deserve worship, though, I had to question. There's no sense of requirement for it. It's more of a representation and reflection, meaning to worship something would be seeing oneself as separate from it. This thing is more of a reflection back at the individual. How, though, I wonder? A strange sense of being able to morph itself or only, a strange sense of being able to morph itself or only in the eye of the observer. The notion of people seeing what they want to see in this. Why would that happen, though, I wonder? What it represents from its origin through today, which was part of the tasking, in a very deep psychological way, kind of like this is like Shiva. It's reminding me of it. But I found something that is interesting as well, that is close to that. In a very deep psychological way that is largely forgotten. Forgotten why, I wonder. A deep state of human amnesia regarding our past and capabilities. What does that even mean? The quote-unquote activation of deep human potential laying dormant inside of each person. Is it a genetic thing, though, I wonder? A DNA thing, or to activate the DNA strand, I wonder? Or other genetic mutation or dormant pattern? These are all things I was questioning. Well, what happens when it's activated, I wonder? A growth activation starts. A sequence of events begins. A person would begin to see themselves differently, physically as well as perceptually. A long dormant gene unactivated. It gets this signal, I wonder. It reminds me of a Merkaba. To activate something, to ignite something, to stimulate. A deep, long forgotten code within the cells or genes, a long amnesia. These elements here, the Merkaba, this kind of DNA thing, what could be a representation of Shiva, or it also could be another Babylonian god that I found as well, a goddess, I should say. The idea of worship here, this tree of life element, or Kabbalistic tree of life and religious fervor aspect here, along with what this might be. So, I was looking at some of these images of Inky, because again, I'm really looking primarily at the Babylonian element of Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse. Wait a minute. Wait. That. And even though there are elements of it that can be found in Egypt and all these other places. It's really this one, as I've mentioned in the previous 3 videos, it's really the Babylon connection that I'm finding more references to today. And as I'm looking at some of these representations here of Enki, I found this here. And they say who this is, who this is, who this is, but I'm wondering who is this with the wings? Turns out that is Inanna, right here, who is a Mesopotamian goddess who was worshipped in ancient Sumer, as well as the Akkadian Empire, as well as the Babylonians and the Assyrians. But this is indicating that they may have, in the Babylonian era, which is the era that I'm interested in, the goddess here was referred to as Ishtar. So as I'm looking at that, it's Ishtar's connection to Inanna and Enki and Enlil from Babylonian days, and its connection to looking at, and this here. My feeling is that this is this here. This is the element that I'm being drawn to. And how it relates to today, I'll get in a minute. But also in this image here. Because as I'm drawing this, I'm thinking about Shiva. But when I found this image here, the position of the leg and the arms and all that, and we got wings and all these other things are going on the head. My sense is this is not Shiva. What I was attempting to draw was Ishtar, who is also Inanna. Then I'm looking for things that are related to the tree of life, because this element of religious fervor and cellular activity was really interesting to me. So I had to go looking for that. And what I found was pretty interesting. But let me get to this real quick, because this is what, and again, I'm looking for these specific things that I can relate to currently, that I can relate to COP28 and the climate issue and all that. Or let me just say, in my opinion, climate change is another phrase for overpopulation. That's just my opinion. And so how I could relate or why this would come in this session, I found this very interesting here in this description of Ishtar. There are two conflicting aspects to this goddess. She was the deity of fertility and love, but also a jealous goddess who could bring vengeance against individuals, go to war, destroy fields, and make the earth's creatures infertile. Infertile. In my opinion, this is an element here that is part of the current conversation, making Earth's creatures infertile. Just like in, where was it? Oh, I think it was here. Really interesting thing here. If I can find it now. Too many links. Can't find anything now. I can't find it now. But the one post that had to do with how Enlil was upset that there were too many people and wanted to wipe some of them out. I can't remember. I don't know where it's at now. But that's where the connection to, oh man, I'm losing all my, I got too many links now, to Ishtar, aka Inanna, and why that imagery would come up in this session. This is another link in my opinion, another connection. There's the image there again as well. So then I would think, okay, well, where does Ishtar, a la Inanna, come into play in the modern world? Is there an ancient secret connection between the Statue of Liberty and the Anunnaki goddess Inanna? And as I was going through this, I found where they are making that connection between Ishtar, Inanna, and the Statue of Liberty. The symbology of the crown that links back to Babylon, and all these other symbols that are going back to that time. So it's another piece to the big puzzle. This element here I found very interesting as well. So I had to go looking for that. Where I found in here quotes from the Bible, Talmud, and the Zohar, which is another word for Kabbalah apparently. The real age of the Kabbalah received its first impetus from a book called the Zohar, the Splendor. Unfortunately, those kernels could take forever to find. There are many writings in the world much better than this neurotic nonsense. Rabbi continues, reading the much adored, this is the Zohar or Kabbalah. So basically what he's saying in here is that the Kabbalah is contained in this book, Zohar, in the Talmud, aka Cliff High. So as I'm going through that, there's the Zohar here. Again, going back to Babylon, I'm finding the connection there. So then I wanted to find my connection to the Merkaba, which I'm familiar with the Merkaba from 1990s New Age, this and that and the other thing. So I wanted to find a little bit more about the Merkaba. I found this to be interesting here. The Merkaba was popular amongst Jewish mystics, especially those who follow Kabbalah. The symbol was popularly used in Merkaba mysticism in Palestine. During the 1st century AD, it entered Babylonia between the 7th and 11th century. So there's a connection to Babylon and a connection to Palestine, which is, as we all know, is a very current topic. Led me to this. Merkava is another way to say Merkaba, which means the workings of the chariot, was also the earliest movements in Jewish mysticism along the Mesa Bereshit. The two movements first arose in the 1st century BCE. This Merkaba was based on a vision experienced by the prophet Ezekiel, which is recorded in the 1st chapter of the book of Ezekiel in the Old Testament. So we get this here from the Old Testament in the story of Ezekiel. What does Ezekiel see? It's the Ezekiel's wheel, which is interpreted by many as he saw some kind of a UFO or something like that. Ezekiel's wheel was a magnificent vision that God showed him. It is important to note that at the time of the vision, Ezekiel was in captivity in where? Babylon. He was among 10,000 exiles carried off during a period. He resided by the river Shebar. Ezekiel was a priest, 30 years old. So where does Ezekiel see the wheel? He sees it when he is in Babylon. The wheel, which I did not know, is also the Merkaba. I didn't know that. So we have a lot of these. Everything points back to Babylon. Everything associated with goes back to Babylon. Back to Babylon. And what is set to take place tomorrow evening through the 12th. So what's going to happen? What could possibly happen in these days here? What I'm thinking about now is what this represents, which is a spaceship, basically. Here. The wheel within the wheel and the whole deal. Here. And all of this talk about a potential alien invasion, the new aliens are coming and all this kind of stuff. And also the confession, I guess you could say, of, was it Werner von Braun, who said the final card that they will play to bring in the world order and world government will be the fake alien invasion. So is it pointing to all this to happen very soon here? Could something happen this coming week? I don't know. Also within this session, Dustin asked me, get to a different thing here. Dustin asked me if I could render a drawing of what I was experiencing. Put a few things up. This is the Orion constellation. So if I could do a painting of what I was experiencing, I said, oh, okay, I would. These are the two that I did. This is the first one I did. Here. I didn't like that one too much, so I did another one. This one I liked much more. Thought that was very interesting. Especially some of the elements here. Here and here, and the belt and the whole deal, and here, this is up here, this is here. As well as the connection to their obsession with the eye, also the eye of Horus. I know people have been commenting on that as well. And its connection to that, especially with the Egyptians' connection to the Orion constellation. All of those fit in there. So I wanted to show that too. Yeah. Which I think is pretty interesting. But what I'm really looking at now, based on all of these things, when I put all of these things together, and I'm looking at these dates of when this asteroid is going to cross in front of, and its connection to the Merkaba, the Merkaba, which comes from Ezekiel's vision while he was in Babylon, and he saw the wheel within the wheel, which again some people say is a UFO. We got all this UAP and all this UFO stuff happening. We're just waiting for the thing, basically, in my opinion, waiting for Ezekiel's next vision from Babylon, the new Babylon. And is there a new Ezekiel? Huh. I don't know. But I wanted to throw this one out there. This is a pretty esoteric session, and so I just want to do kind of a side video of it because it's so esoteric. But I thought it was very interesting and added a few additional components that I wanted to explore. And if I think of anything else, maybe I'll do another video. If not, then it's on to the next target. So I hope you found this interesting. The best is yet to come.